I swear to God, I'll start without you. All right, so one of the questions we get is, how does our typing process work? This is real science, bro.
It's not like, bam, done.
No, you got to...
Observer, decider. Oh, I'm obviously a decider. Okay, done, moving on.
You got to practice.
Right.
You got to practice with your partner. You got to be able to check, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot of work.
Yeah,
but
it's not easy. Even when we're doing it, it's not like, I'm never just like slamming the gavel down. You know?
The gavel.
The gavel.
We have our checklist, which is kind of like our defined terms. Get it weighed on a real basic coins. Just like if you're building a machine, you got to have just little 0 and 1 parts. It's not, you can't clump stuff. It's got to be really, really, really SI.
Right.
Yeah. So we're going to sit down and type Phil DeFranco. So the first question we're going to ask is, we're going to say, is this person an observer or a decider?
Okay.
And so we're looking at, is this person relatively balanced with self and tribe and freaking out about control chaos? Or are they relatively balanced with control and chaos and freaking out about self and tribe?
Right.
And then we're also looking at the S and the N and the T and the F and all that. And so we're going in and like really having to clearly define what those terms mean. Therefore, when I'm seeing a quote unquote observer freak out, are you seeing an
The same thing.
The same thing in the other room.
Right. Like this is kind of an ideal way to start, starting at the top with observer to decider. That would be like ideal. It would be perfect if you could do it that way. But like sometimes you're like, I'm just seeing a lot of EP. I'm seeing a lot of EP.
Right.
There's sometimes parts that you're going to get, but either way, you still have to play a binary game.
Right.
Is it this or this?
Right. So first one is Phil DeFranco an observer or a decider? It's just my opinion based off of my observations, based on my definitions of the terms, that what I am seeing is that this guy is an observer, not a decider.
Me too.
Coincidence. Pure coincidence. Then from there it drops down. Okay, is this guy largely observing in an introverted or extroverted way?
Is it more new, more, new, or the same repetitive, controlled?
So you get OI versus OE or IJ versus EP.
Right.
And you're like, oh, this guy's, in my opinion, that seems to be, according to my notes and my understandings of my research and my practice, which is that this is gathering and not organizing as a savior. He's gathering, then organizing. Okay, so is he gathering the N or gathering the S? Is it NE or SE? You go through, you split through that.
And you'd have to understand both of, well, what is NE? Oh, well, that's the understanding. He's wanting to give you the facts. Yes, he's going to give you the facts, but he's always wanting to make sure that he is communicating the understanding of what's really going on underneath.
But notice the game here. We're only doing a binary coin at a time. I'm never typing Phil DeFranco.
Is this an ENFP or an INTJ?
I have no idea.
Like what? How did you?
I'm just SI going like this. Observer or decider? Observer, decider. And then I go to my notes. What's an observer and decider again? And then I go back and I'm just looking at this. Otherwise, I'm overwhelmed by, he reminds me of my brother and this one guy and this thing. And I know people that are like that, right? Then from there, okay, this guy is lead NE. Great. So is he self above tribe or tribe above self?
Oh, God. Tribe above self.
50-50 chance. He is asking the opinion of others before he is allowed in his mind to make his own decisions.
Yeah.
Now, is that FE or TE? Now I got to go work on that.
That's going to be a harder one. Middle functions are harder.
Then I go, okay, this guy is NE, TE. He's talking about the reasons, the facts. He's giving constant information about why are people doing this? What is making sense in the extroverted world? And he's having a hard time with his own feelings and his own values. So therefore, you're seeing that coin of, if he does have TE, I should be seeing the coin of demon
Guess
FI.
what, guys? I figured something out. It was what I cared about and prioritized.
Because what's fun and stressful about this process is we're making a game out of it. Like, I want to have as many cross-checks per step as possible because I want to get the same number as her.
Yes.
And I shouldn't say if. When I get sloppy, when I get fast, when I get swept up by the anecdotes and I'm not doing all my cross-checks, I get the numbers off and like, well, I just wasted several hours typing this person and I didn't get the same type as her and we got to throw this one out.
Right.
So then from there, okay, NETE, is he play consume or play blast? So this is going to be people more in the class that know about these animals.
Right.
Where
You're now asking which one comes above the other one. Is he going first and consuming and learning and taking in before he's coming out to teach? Now you'd have to ask that because it's going to be really easy to go, oh, he's play blast because he's blasting on the video. Like, I'm blasting right now. I got blast last. Like, that's a hard thing to be able to track. You have to make sure, wait a minute, did you go and download a ridiculous amount of knowledge before you're coming out to the tribe to ever be able to share your knowledge?
Right.
I think that's what you're doing.
Yeah,
I think that's what's going on.
For Phil DeFranco, he has his presentation, as well as he has a lot of his vlogs, and he's been on YouTube for over 10 years. So you have access. You have access to a lot of information to get to know the real Phil DeFranco, to understand exactly that. Is this consuming and then blasting, or blasting and then consuming? Right. And then these animals, the blast, consume, these are just your functions wiring together. And then from there, it's what's the third animal? Okay, so if he's play consume, is he play consume sleep or play consume blast? And you just play the game all over again.
Right. That's a hard one to check. There are cross checks of like the categories of those of us that have blast last versus the category of those of us that would have sleep last. test. That those are partial cross checks that kind of help you know that answer. But that's kind of getting into the weeds. You got to be careful once you go down that far.
So that now completes the quote-unquote personality code. Then there's a layer of 4 different sexual versions on top of that. So you can be a NETE, play, consume, sleep, double feminine, double masculine, or half and half either way. So as demonstrated in the comments below, you're going to have tons of people saying Phil DeFranco was not a ENFP.
Yeah.
And that's great. See, this is my opinion that he's this type.
Me too.
That he's NETE. This is her opinion.
Yeah.
The only thing we have is the coincidence that of 512, we got the same exact type number.
Right. There you go.
Versus everybody else kind of fighting it out in the general public, which is what the science community has been saying for years. Like, how would you know? You have no reference point of like no falsifiable way to have leverage to say, well, my opinion is better than anybody else's.
Right.
So leveraging statistics in the double-blind test, it starts to get some credibility of like...
Start playing that game. Go find a partner and force yourself to go through the method of like being on the same team with that other person. And yes, I know that is going to be absolutely the hardest part of this whole thing because, you know, sometimes they start a video without you.
If you got a fast partner.